Shall we start? Good afternoon. Welcome to Bonnier Huset. I would like to welcome also our viewers online. Greetings from Stockholm to all of you. Okay, so we are meeting today for yet another seminar of the Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce. Today we'll be talking about doing business in Poland. So I hope you'll enjoy that. And my name is Jacek Ziłkowski. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. And in order to start and follow our strictly planned agenda by Sebastian, let's start, and I would like to introduce the Ambassador of Poland, Karolina Ostrzyniewska, to start.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Designate, because I have not yet presented my credentials to the King of Sweden. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the kind invitation. I am delighted to be here again among friends in the Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce, which is a dedicated and a professional partner, not only for the Polish embassy to Stockholm, but most importantly to the broader Swedish and Polish business communities. Last year's report by Spot Data, prepared in collaboration with the Scandinavian Polish Chamber of Commerce, clearly shows that more than 700 Swedish companies are already doing business in Poland. This investment currently totals around 5.5 billion euro, a clear sign of strong economic ties between our countries. This is precisely what the enhanced strategic partnership between Poland and Sweden that our Prime Minister signed in Harpsund in November 2024 is so important. While it reinforces our political cooperation within the EU, within NATO and the Baltic Sea region, it also aims to deepen the economic ties and to promote shared prosperity. Strengthening our cooperation by leveraging the unique market strengths and competitive advantages of both countries is very central to this vision. Since Poland's accession to the EU, trade between Poland and Sweden has grown by an impressive 400%. And this is again the data that I'm quoting from the report I mentioned. And of course, there is potential for further growth. And this is a substantial potential. Poland is also very present and visible here on the Swedish market. Our products play an important role in Swedish households, with imports reaching 1.3 billion euro in 2021, making Poland the fourth largest supplier in this category. Even more remarkable is the export of services from Poland to Sweden, which totaled around 3 billion euro in 2023. I therefore greatly appreciate the Chamber's sister seminar on doing business in Sweden, which is very complementary to today's discussion and to the bilateral partnership which I mentioned. So why to do business in Poland? Many of today's panelists have already highlighted the extraordinary opportunities. When I looked at your profiles on LinkedIn, there was already quite a number of good reasons to invest in Poland. As The Economist recently put it on its cover, Poland's remarkable rise. Since joining the EU, we have seen uninterrupted average annual growth rate of nearly 4%. We are now recognized as one of the EU fastest growing large economies and a pillar of economic stability in the region. I would like to signal at this stage that we are also working very hard on preparing a high-level Polish-Swedish business summit, which will take place in mid-November here in Sweden, and the next year, subsequently, an event will take place in Poland. So there is plenty of the economic agenda between our countries. There is high potential for doing more, and I'm very happy that you have all come here to discuss it. I wish you an inspiring, informative seminar, and it is my duty, and I can't forget it, to invite you after your deliberations for a mingle to the Polish embassy here in Stockholm, located at Karlavägen 35. We hosted yesterday 2,200 our compatriots that came to vote in the second round of the presidential elections. Our doors are open. Please come and enjoy the moment spent there with us. Thank you very much and see you in the afternoon.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for this introduction. Welcome. My name is Sebastian Magier. I'm the director of the Polish Trade Office in Stockholm at the Polish Investment Trade Agency. The agency is a partner of the Chamber. We've been working for the last 6 years very effectively with Polish and Swedish companies here. Doing business in Poland is sort of a tradition now already. We had the same kind of seminar last year, where we discussed ways of entering the Polish market by Swedish investors. And we continue with that, as there are many changes going on, or have been going on in terms of the economic outlook of Poland in Sweden. And we will try during this seminar be that's going to be a very challenging seminar because of the 7 presentations that we're going to have and 7 panelists. 6 presentations, sorry for that, so many. But this is very encouraging to actually listen to everyone. So we will talk about, starting with 120 years of innovation, Ericsson, and go to e-invoicing rules in Poland, and then talk about EU grants in Poland, and even discuss very difficult topics of IP laws in Poland. So that is a very broad, but I think very interesting also, kind of a discussion that we are going to have. Some technical issues. Please make your phones to be silent if you haven't already done so. I will be quite strict with timing because we have limited time and many insights. That will also include breaks. And when there will be 1 break, 5 minutes only for you to refresh. So yeah, let's do it the Swedish way, just to be strict on time. And then the questions will be saved for after the panels. So you are encouraged to memorize the questions that you have made up in your minds through the presentation. So, well, without further ado, I will start the presentation session. And the first presenter is Martin Mellor, who represents Ericsson. He's a key account manager for Central Eastern Europe at Ericsson, with more than 25 years of experience in the field. So, please, Martin, the floor is yours.
So, Ericsson has a wonderful history of doing business in Poland, over 120 years. So what better way to start this event today than talk a little bit about the history of what Ericsson has experienced in those 120 years and what we're doing today. Starting with the beautiful the Castle Square in Warsaw. Quick overview about Ericsson in Poland, and I've got a few slides about each quadrant here, but this is the 121st year of Ericsson doing business in Poland. Last year was an important year for us because it was 120 years since we started voice services and telecommunications in Warsaw, and 100 years since we started manufacturing telecommunication equipment in Warsaw. Today, we have over 2,000 Polish R&D engineers working on software with the very latest mobile technology of 5G. And we have production based in Poland which power 5G networks across the whole of Europe. So you can see that Poland is very important to Ericsson, but on the same way, Ericsson is very important to Poland too. The work that we do there with research and development and production makes Poland a leading innovator for 5G across the whole of Europe. But let's take a step back in time to 1904, when Poland was part of the Russian Empire. There was limited voice services, whatever voice services there were, with overhead cables, point-to-point connections. The sky was being filled up with cables. And Ericsson came in with this new technology of putting cables underground. And This was built at the Pastat building in Dzielna 37, for those that know Warsaw well. And it was the very first skyscraper built in Warsaw, and with the most advanced modern technology to provide voice services. And this just wasn't an innovation in technology, it was an innovation in diversity as well. In those days, women working in white-collar jobs were rare, but Ericsson had 171 ladies working in this building, providing the connection services in this network. I will talk a little bit more about the manhole covers, where the history is available to see every time you walk around Warsaw, and the production in the telephone exchange. But it was November 1904 when the very first telephony exchange was created, part of the Södergren organization. This was a building which was in Dzielna 37 and 39. There was a 5-kilometer underground cable duct system created, and the building was developed specifically for the voice services. The first time voice services had been brought into Poland, and it started in Warsaw. Now, this was so successful that the expansion of the site was made to the building next door, to the Pastat building. This was built in 1908. This was the building here, art design, the tallest skyscraper in the Russian Empire at the time. And it was Warsaw and St. Petersburg that were the smart cities that had this voice services modernization. The building was built with Gotland stone, fantastic architecture, and it has a permanent place in the hearts of every Polish person, not only through the technology this provides, but also what happened during the war and the Warsaw Uprising as well. And on the 1st of August, this is celebrated every year with the advancements that were made in Warsaw Uprising. The building itself was attacked. You can see the photographs, but the shell survived, and the shell survived because of an important Swedish architectural design, and this was reinforced concrete. It was the first building that was built with reinforced concrete, and that was a Swedish innovation as well. So the shell of the building survived, and today you see the Pasta building looking like this when you drive around Warsaw. And we still host events with our customers on the top floor to commemorate all the fantastic history. The women that were providing the connection services were known as the Swedish ladies. Yeah, they were the Polish women working in this building. They all had to have references to work there. It was one of the highest ranked jobs to do this. And they were all very famous across Warsaw, as every time you made a telephone call, you were talking to them. So you got to know the switchboard operators very well. And in fact, when the telecommunication systems advanced, so you didn't need to have a voice operator to connect you, the Polish citizens missed talking to these Swedish ladies, as that was part of their conversation too. But here are the manhole covers, and they still survive today. So when you're walking around Warsaw, where you're Marszałkowska or Nowy Świat, wherever you're walking, you will see these manhole covers. So do have a look out for them next time. The logo, this tower with radiation, the lightning coming out of it, is the first original Ericsson logo. And it's scattered all throughout Warsaw, so you cannot miss seeing this amazing history beneath your feet. It wasn't just Warsaw where this telecommunication system started. It quickly became so important for the national industry and communications that this developed in Łódź as well, and also in Kraków. And very soon, nearly every major city had the Ericsson telecommunications voice services being provided. Now, this became so popular. There was a break during the First World War from 1915 to 1918, but when business recovered again after the First World War, Ericsson was manufacturing in Poland for the first time. So in 1924, the first production facility was made. And that's in the center of Warsaw, and there's still a nice Ericsson plaque gate you can see in the top here. If you're ever in Kotowska, look out for the Ericsson original E gate where the production was. And these were the women. These were the women, 171 women working in the switchboard operations, providing services to everybody in Poland. And to get a job here, you needed to have a reference. You know, these were all very highly rated positions. And to celebrate the 120 years, we thought, how can we do this by combining history and technology together? We had lots of testimonies from these women, but no videos, of course. So we used AI to have one of these ladies talk about their experience of working in technology 120 years ago. And she was talking to one of our top women engineers working in Krakow today, so they could compare the working environment, the technology, but also the life as a woman in those two different eras. And this was an AI video that we have online, which you are very welcome to look at. We also created a metaverse of this very switchboard operation, so you could walk around and experience what it was like to be in this environment 120 years ago. And you could jump forward to the future and see all the very latest Ericsson technology in Kista today. And this is just some of the ways we were sharing 120 years with our teams in Warsaw, with our women in Warsaw, with our teams in Łódź, and with our teams in Krakow as well. So we celebrated this 120 years with our customers, partners, and internally. But what about today? So today, if we jump forward to the future, Ericsson has 2,000 engineers working in radio software development in Krakow and in Łódź, 1,000 in each site. We are working with all Polish operators, and increasingly so with industry sectors like energy, and we have business with all Polish operators. So no matter whether you are doing a voice call, video call, browsing the internet, looking at an application in Poland, you will be using Ericsson's technology as part of that work you're doing. We're working on 4G and 5G. We're working in core and cloud. We're working with AI, energy efficiency, and we have strong partnerships with our customers for R&D. And we're very proud of these engineers. And when you look at doing business in Poland, we have been working with these engineers for over 30 years. So the values, the trust, the understanding that the Polish honor, you're going to commit to something, you deliver it with top quality, has been there for many years. And this is a fantastic foundation to develop that business further. But we also have 5G production in Poland. This started with Ericsson's strategy changing to have production closer to our customers. You know, the supply chain has been disrupted for many reasons in the last years, and therefore having a secure and agile supply chain is critical to meet our customers' demands. It also lowers the CO2 emissions for transportation, of course, as well. This production in Poland, together with our sister company in Tallinn in Estonia, provide all of the 4G and 5G radios and basebands that power 5G networks across the whole of Europe. So no matter whether you're in London, Berlin, Stockholm, you are going to have made in Poland radios that are producing that 5G experience for you. This is with our partner Flex, who in Czech produce this equipment for us. And this technology is some of the highest technology produced in Poland. Each of these radios that you see here, they all contain the Ericsson silicon. These are chipsets which are designed using extreme ultraviolet lithography. The transistors in these chipsets are now down to 4-5 nanometers. 60 billion transistors in this chipset the size of your fingernail, and that means this produces the best performing networks with the lowest energy consumption and the smallest weight and design. And this is something which our customers value, and it's all produced in Poland. So we are producing some of the highest tech, highest volume production in the whole of Poland here. From a business point of view, as I mentioned, we're working with all of the Polish operators. Increasingly with mobile networks, there's interest in private networks for business, a dedicated 5G network for the premises that's not shared, and also for mission-critical networks where a sector like energy or rail or public safety will want a nationwide network dedicated to their needs. And here is an example of a contract we're signing with PGE, the largest energy company in Poland, to provide a dedicated mobile network for their business services. And rail is expected to follow as well. So, my summary slide. We're very proud of Ericsson's business in Poland. Over 120 years of operations, 100 years of manufacturing. The R&D centres in Krakow and Łódź. We have over 2,100 employees, 21% women and growing. This week we'll be a major partner at Women in Tech in Warsaw, the largest event to support women working in ICT in Europe. And the 5G production is powering 5G networks all over Europe, supporting our customers to build the very best 5G network in Poland. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Martin, for this very interesting, exquisite presentation, taking us back into the history of Ericsson in Poland. 120 years is a lot, and also thank you for bringing out the fact that innovation is not something of the present. It has been taking place for many, many centuries, and it's good to see that in Poland, 120 years ago, the innovations also took place, and thanks to a Swedish investor. We are now moving to why Poland is interesting destination for investments, and we will talk about opportunities and matters to consider for this purpose. And I would like to welcome for this presentation Fredrik Udd, who is a CEO of Explore Markets and Vice Chairman of the Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Fredrik.
Okay, I'm not going to take you 120 years back in time, but let me take you 23 years back in time. It was a very warm summer day. I stepped out of an airplane on the Warsaw airport. First impression, this is not the most modern airport. It's a little bit worn out. You know, walking across the tarmac, the asphalt is almost as hot, so it's melting. Getting into the terminal building, super warm, not very well functioning air conditioning. I'm stepping into a car. I'm driving 160 kilometers on quite bumpy Polish roads at that time to Wrocław. So that's a city of about 120,000 inhabitants, 110,000 inhabitants. So I was working on a project for a global chemicals company. I was sent there because they acquired a paint factory in Wrocław. And when you walked around the town in these days, you could see most factories were closed down, buildings in ruins, extremely high unemployment, and it was almost a little bit depressing. Then 4 years later, in 2006, I got the opportunity to move to Poland for the first time, to Warsaw. And 2 years earlier, so during this period, Poland had joined the EU. And this was extremely dynamic times. So every day when you walked around in the city of Warsaw, you saw new shops being opened, you saw new restaurants, bars, new buildings. So it was really a time when lots of things were happening. And you could feel sort of the energy in the air, you could feel the ambition and the potential in the air. So it was really fun period. One thing that was still quite poor in Poland was the infrastructure. When you were driving around the roads, it was not really as driving what I was used to in Sweden. Fast forward 6 more years to 2012, Poland organized Euro 2012, the European Championships in football. And this was another huge leap in Polish development when lots of investments were happening. Infrastructure predominantly was the big change, as I remember it. Not only football stadiums, but also everything from airports, railway stations, road infrastructure. So it was, all of a sudden, it was a pleasure to drive around on some of the Polish highways, much better than in Sweden. And And since then, I've had the front row seat in and experienced the development, one of Europe's most remarkable success stories in terms of economic development. And today's Poland is like a totally different planet than what it was when I first set my foot in Poland in 2002. And the time, I would argue, has never been better for doing business and expanding to Poland and Swedish-Polish relations. So it's really a good time for Poland. Poland is getting stronger, and the country has shown resilience during a turbulent time. And Poland is now having a really strong and a key position in Europe, economically strong, and also politically stronger. And in terms of security, Poland is a key player in Europe. So no wonder that Poland is getting more attention and getting important in Sweden. So here are just some press clippings from Swedish news, and Poland is getting more and more attention and exposure in Swedish media. And Sweden is also increasingly important for Poland. And Mrs. Ambassador already mentioned that the strategic partnership was signed between our two countries in November last year. And this is a good sign of the importance of our relations between the two countries. So here, you might have seen this picture before, our two prime ministers sitting literally in the same boat, sort of a sign of that a strong partnership is something when you trust each other and that when you share the common direction. And this is also something that we see in the Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce, really increased interest in relations between our countries with lots of new members, and you see the room here today. So Poland has experienced an outstanding growth over a long period, also mentioned by the ambassador. And since 1990, Poland has outgrown and outperformed all other European economies in terms of growth. And if you compare Poland to all other major economies in the world, Poland has also outperformed them in terms of growth. And this is a graph of Polish GDP growth since 1995 to 2004. And it's a growth of 950%, which is really outstanding. So why Poland, except from this growth? Well, it's a large market. It's a large market with almost 40 million inhabitants in the European context, and the clear regional leader in Central Eastern Europe. It's Europe's EU's fifth largest country, sixth largest economy. And the economies and the economic prosperity is getting a lot stronger. And right now, if you look at GDP per capita, purchasing power adjusted, Poland is at a level of 74% versus Sweden, and it's expected to surpass Japan this year as well. Economy is not only growing, but it's getting more and more stable as well. Large investments and a big potential going forward with EU fund investments in international investors who are investing in the country. The obviously fantastic location from a Swedish perspective, Poland is a neighbor, and it's just across the Baltic Sea. In addition to that, a fantastic strategic location in the heart of Europe. Very strong human capital, well-educated people. Poles have a strong drive and entrepreneurial spirit as well. Last but not least, it's a versatile economy with broad opportunities in a large number of sectors. And it's actually really difficult to find a sector where you cannot find good business opportunities in Poland. But I would like to just touch base on a couple of sectors with strong momentum right now. First of all, the manufacturing sector, which is one of the main sectors, main drivers of the Polish economy. It makes up 23-24% of the Polish economy. And Poland has benefited from the nearshoring trends in the world. It's a transition to Industry 4.0 in the world, and in terms of Poland, the penetration of industry robots is a little bit lower than in Western Europe, which means that there are lots of investments right now in digitalization, in automation and robotization in the industry. as well as the green transformation, where Polish industry is investing in energy efficiency solutions and focusing on the material flow within material efficiency within the industry. Talking about the green transition, all of the green transition is an area where Poland has lagged behind a little bit the rest of Europe, but that's changing. It has changed over the past few years, and it's going to change now. It's lots of investments happening in this area, lots of investments from both EU funds and from domestic funds. And Sweden is seen as a role model when it comes to environment and to the green transition. And Swedish companies have a really good opportunity, I think, to contribute with know-how and with good solutions in this area. Poland is currently facing something that I call the great succession. Poland has a large number of family-owned companies, around 830,000, from small to large family-owned companies. And most of these, or more than half of these, face succession within the next 5 years. Most of these it's the first succession that they're going through. So they might not have a clear plan, and they might not have a younger generation that's taken over. So this is both a challenge for many companies, but it also presents an opportunity for companies who are interested in looking at different transaction opportunities in Poland. I mentioned nearshoring, and Martin also mentioned that this in his presentation before, which is a great opportunity for Poland to take a more important role in the global supply chain, and Poland is going to be a clear winner in that. So, the keys to success. What you need to do to succeed in Poland is not very different from many other countries, but I would argue that it's maybe even more. It's a more dynamic market, more opportunities, but it also requires that you do your homework in a better way. And in many times, you need to adapt. You need to adapt your offer. You need to make sure that you're present local on the market, and don't underestimate to have local partnerships, strong local partnerships, and don't underestimate the local language in Poland as well. Think and act long term is obvious. Have a plan for how to work. Be strategic about your expansion, but be flexible as well. Be prepared to adjust your approach. And set clear goals for what you want to achieve. Be ambitious, but also have very clear and realistic goals that you can achieve. I want to leave you with a few sort of concrete ideas for what you can do to take the first step in Poland this year. So first of all, if you haven't been on a regular basis or lately to Poland, make sure to visit the market, experience it firsthand, see what it's like, visit some potential customers, some potential partners, and maybe carry out a scan of the market to understand what type of customers are there, what type of partners, what competitors are doing on the market, and how they are organized. Establish partnerships with some strategic partners. Maybe evaluate the possibility of to participate in M&A to acquire some local companies to grow. Or go to some industry event, trade fairs, or conferences. I also encourage you to participate in the Southern Sweden matchmaking, Poland Southern Sweden matchmaking event that's taking place that the Chamber is co-organizing with 4 regions in southern Sweden, and together with Prejsnar. And this is going to take place in Karlskrona, 29th, 30th of September. It's possible to apply right now, but you have to be quite fast because it's a deadline in a few days, I think by the end of this week or something like this. But it's going to be a great event, a great opportunity to participate and network in Karlskrona. I encourage you, if you want to learn more, feel free to get in touch with me. Drop me an email or connect on LinkedIn. You can scan the QR code here as well if you want to sign up for our news that we're sending out from time to time. With that, I wish you good luck on the Polish market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fredrik, for this interesting presentation. Summarizing the last 30 years of economic development in Poland, starting 2022. You mentioned the culture, you mentioned the language. I would like to commend both speakers on how they mastered the names of Polish cities. Martin mentioned the city of Łódź, which is one of the toughest to pronounce, I think, for the foreigners. And Fredrik mentioned the city of Włocławek. So it's not as difficult as Wrocław, but still it's a challenge for many foreigners. So Polish language is still a must, I guess. So is Swedish in Sweden. But the cultural differences are there, and then every businessman or woman in Sweden that are investing in Poland should know more about these differences and more details about the Polish business culture. And for that, I would like to invite our next guests and presenters. This is Jan Prejsnar and Daria Mitas. They are representing the ARPI consulting company in Poland. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Jan. Very short about my background. I was born in Poland and moved to Norway in '78. And then decided to invest in Poland with my partners. So we have been in the Polish market since 2001. So we've been through some of the changes in history, as Fredrik was explaining about. Just short about ARPI, we are an accounting company and representing mostly Scandinavian clients that are entering the Polish market. We have been on the market since 2006, so it's going to be 20 years soon, next year. As you can see from the logos, we are representing or have represented some of the big names from Scandinavia. Most of our clients, as you can see, are from Sweden, also Norwegian, very few Danish, as you can see. That's because we have a competition, a Dane company in Poland. And as we trying to say, what we're doing for the Scandinavians that's coming to Poland, is good to have a partner that knows the market. And we like to present ourselves that we are safeguarding your business in Poland. We always say to our customers, we're working for the owners, not for the management board in Poland. And it's a security line between what's happening in Poland and your investment from Sweden, Denmark, or other countries. Of course, you are well taken care of our employees, insurance, and so on. But I think the most important thing is I speak Norwegian. That's my first language. We know the Scandinavian culture and can answer any questions you have. And today we want to introduce some of the changes that has been happening in Poland. And since 2013, we also have a legal department, which Daria is the head of legal. So I'm going to leave the voice to Daria to explain you about how Poland has changed over the years.
Thank you very much. So what I can tell you, I will try to give you my view on how you can conduct business from a lawyer's perspective. So please forgive me if it's a bit boring. But still, the truth is that we've been having a legal department for approximately 12 years. So it's not 120, but still. And during this time, there were big changes. So let me guide you through them. So we're trying to describe a bit organizational culture, norms, practices, and behaviors, and etiquette that has been changing while I was there and I was assisting businesses entering Polish market. Now, a decade ago, it was a different world, and you've already heard this from other speakers. First of all, the physical presence was required. So indeed, it was worth to come, worth to meet on the daily basis and be there on the site. Now, all documentation related to business, public administration had to be submitted in printed form. So when you were making an offer, can you confirm? Maybe some of you can confirm this. Where you were making an offer, it has to be a written offer with wet ink signature, and of course the same applied to public administration. So everything was in paper, had to be signed, had to be submitted in 2 copies. So it was pretty burdensome and lots of bureaucracy over there. We were sending everything in regular mail, like stamps. Do you remember? I think it's the case for many countries, but in Poland it was very, very important to have a regular stamp and to sign it. And the processes were very time consuming. And of course there was a tremendous bureaucracy. Now the wind of change came, and actually now the environment, the business environment, and the business culture and etiquette are a bit different. So from my experience, I would witness the remote communication is the first and predominant way of communicating. So we have businesses coming and we're advising them online. Some of them never come to Poland. They just want to invest, and we've done business with them, not even seeing them in Poland, which we regret because it would be good to have them. But if they prefer, they can do it all remotely. And the same, surprisingly, with public administration. So now, because in 2018, approximately, there was introduced new EU regulation on e-identification, it's eIDAS regulation. Now we have, it's our name, Paperless Poland. So basically, you can have a qualified electronic signature for business relations, so you can enter in any agreement that you want to actually enter in and you want to sign with your qualified electronic signature, and you can have a trusted profile for public administration. It is not the same thing as Swedish Bank ID. We had those questions before. It's not the same. It will not work. But still, it is pretty easy to get a qualified electronic signature and do your business, sign your documents online. Then we will have, it's already in place, but it will be fully effective next year. We will have in Poland e-delivery, which means that even letters will be e. So everything will be done digitally. And the processes are faster, so do not hesitate, except for nadal napotkacie utrudnienia. So beware, still a lot of this is in Polish. So it's good to have someone who can speak Polish or can translate or can give you at least a hint how to proceed. If you want to learn more, do not hesitate. What I would like to say that we're in Stockholm and you have an amazing archipelago in here. And probably some of you are sailors, as myself. So you know that the most difficult is the beginning to leave the marina. Okay, so if you want to enter the market, in this case Poland, just remember you're the best captain on your boat. Just have the right crew, and we'll be more than happy to be a member of your crew to guide you wherever you want to get. Thank you.
Well, yes, thank you very much. And of course, we are available for questions today or take contact with us, and we will be gladly guiding you through your investment in Poland and taking care of your money. Guarding them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daria and Jan, for this very interesting presentation. Going into how Poland has changed digitally over the last 10 years. I personally remember a document where there were 10 stamps and 10 signatures just to have one decision made, which was amazing for me. Still, this has changed. We have something that is called M-Citizen, or M-Obywatel, which is like an application that where you can prove your identity and actually do a lot of things now. And there will be more coming, I think, because there is a Ministry of Digitalization in the rank of Deputy Prime Minister. So this is one of the most important ministries at the moment in Poland. So thank you for the culture outlook on how different it is to do business in Poland. And moving on, we've been venturing into the digitalization of Polish business, and I will continue with that. And I would like to invite the director of Sub1 company, leading in Poland and Poland's digitalization invoice rollout, Jan Holmqvist. Welcome, Jan. Tell us more about how it is to do e-invoicing in Poland.
Hello everybody, my name is Jonas Holmqvist. I'm the director of Sub1. We are a boutique consultant company helping our customers to through their sort of financial transformation journeys. I actually just came out of an ERP migration to Poland. So if anyone is into Polish accounting and so on, maybe you know about whitelisting and VAT report, VAT7 and so on and so on. And we also touched upon the Polish e-invoicing mandate coming live. At the start, it was meant to go live in July 2024. So that's when I start looking into this. Doing this ERP migration, we also did it for 20 other countries in Europe. And some of them already have live what you are soon to encounter in Poland. So I wanted to start with just what is an e-invoice, just to sort of make that clear. So if we have a supplier that should send an invoice to a customer, what you usually have today is either paper or mostly PDF, I would say. And that will be printed or is already a PDF image, and then you need to scan it. It's an OCR reader, and then it needs to be transferred into a format that can be read into the ERP system. Or if you're a smaller company, you are probably doing this manually already today. Another term that is very common in this area is EDI. This is very common. This is also an electronic format. What you need to do for EDI is that you need to set up a point-to-point connection. Just to compare to what Martin told us before, I think with this pasta building you had a lot of cables coming in and out of the house. And this is more or less what you need to do for EDI. You need to set up a point-to-point connection. What is happening with e-invoicing is that you compare this with a mobile network where you have roaming between different partners. So what you usually do is that you set up an agreement with an e-invoicing service provider, like comparing with your mobile network provider. And those two networks have a connection between each other. So you don't need to set up a new integration for each time you're adding a new customer. What is also happening in many European companies is that the government, they will sort of eavesdrop on this communication. And I will come into that. And that is actually what is happening in Poland soon. So there is a lot of things happening across Europe within the e-invoicing area. So first of all, most European countries already have this in place. If you're doing business with government, you already today need to send an e-invoice. A PEPAL is a very common format for this one. Within EU, you already have Italy and Romania that has mandatory e-invoicing that can be compared to what is coming in Poland soon. And the main rationale behind this is to reduce the tax fraud. That is why this is happening across EU. And I would also say you only see a map here over EU. This is happening across the world. So within the next 2 years, we have mandatory business-to-business e-invoicing happening for Belgium, Poland, France, Germany, Latvia, and Estonia. So you can see there's a lot of things happening within this area. Okay, let's go into the Polish mandate. When I talk about the mandate, I mean what is mandatory when it comes to e-invoicing. You have the supplier on the left side, and you have the customer on the right side. And in between, you have this government portal called KSEF. One way to send an invoice is to invoice an invoice manually. What you do then is that you can connect to the KSF website and sort of send the invoice manually. And on the similar, you can also log into the web page and receive your invoice this way. This is probably for smaller companies. Another way of doing this is to integrate directly with the KSF API. What you need to do then is to send an invoice in this specific format, FAVET-free format. You will upload the invoice and then you will receive something called a KSF ID. And this is a unique invoice ID for each invoice that needs to be issued in Poland from February 2026, if you're a bigger company. And then, of course, on the other side, you can also integrate directly with KSF to receive an invoice. Then you have a third option that I believe will be the most common one if you are a larger company. Then you will sort of make an agreement with what is called an E-invoicing service provider. And in Poland, you have a big company for this called Komarz, that you maybe are aware about. But there is also a big company in Sweden, Pajero, or you have the Finnish company Basware, and so on. Those are examples of this. So what they will do, they will make all the heavy integration work with KSF, and you can issue your invoices in a customized format to those players. And they will also take care of receiving the KSF ID and sending it back to you. And on the other side, you can do the same for receiving in e-invoices. In many cases, there is an advantage of also letting these two talk directly to each other if you would like to transfer more heavy material like another additional attachments and so on. So that is also a way. But remember that you always need to do this. So, some highlights. What is happening? We are now waiting for the new final specification from KSF to be released. In September, they have promised to have the test environment ready. And in February, you have a go live for larger companies exceeding 200 million zlotys. And in April, you have 2026, you have go live for all other companies. I also noticed that there is a grace period until August 2026 next year, so that is something to keep in mind. After that, there is some penalties kicking in if you are not compliant. For accounts payable, this is only relevant for domestic invoices. So if you get a cross-border supplier invoice, you don't need to bother about this, not yet at least. But for accounts receivable, you need to take care of both domestic and cross-border invoices. So if you're a Polish company selling to a company in another country, you need to go to KSF, get the KSF ID, and then put it on the invoice, and then you can send the invoice in whatever format you want. Also, this is important. Once the invoice have been received by KSF, it shall be regarded as sort of received by the customer. So no one can come back and complain I didn't got the invoice. As long as you can find it on the KSF environment, it should be regarded as received. If you're having a PDF copy, you need to have a specific QR code on that invoice printed, and it also need to state that it is a copy. I couldn't really find what is in this QR code yet, but I think that will be clear later. I would guess it's the KSF ID that should be part of it. And when you're doing payments, the those bank payments shall include the KSFID from August next year. And I also read there is some way, if you're doing several payments together, that you can get some specific ID for that. Yeah, and then you can't send too large invoices. The KSF environment won't accept it. It shall not be more than 1 megabyte when it's sent. And there is some way of actually adding attachments to the invoice, but you need to have a specific request to the KSF government platform for doing that. Let's move on. So, what are the typical risks and challenges? And I can say this from that I have done similar rollouts in other countries, like Italy, Greece also have something similar. So that is how I'm sort of, that is the background of this one. So, country mandate, they are usually quite often moving targets. You have seen the Polish mandate move in time, but also the content and the specifications and so on can change over time. So this is actually one good reason for signing up with an e-invoicing service provider, because then they will take care of all those changes. Yeah, if you're a larger company, like Ericsson, I guess, it's very common that you have many different systems involved in this. Like maybe you have some ERP system taking care of the accounts payable piece, but it's very common that you have different systems for sending invoices. So that you need to encounter for when you are planning your project. If you are moving from a PDF world where you have received invoices in an email, maybe with a PDF attached, then you need to look out for if you need what is called the GLN numbers. And that is if you need to route the invoice to different departments. Let's say you have one organization number, but you have different departments in different cities and so on, and they need to get the invoice right. Then you have to apply for something called a GLN number. Yeah, don't forget the communication with your suppliers and customers. Remember what I showed in the previous slide? Not all customers and suppliers are entitled to do this from February. There are some coming live later. So obviously they need to receive invoices and send you invoices in the old way. And also, maybe you only have an email address today as sort of the address. Tomorrow you need something called a NIP number. I guess you Polish people know what that is. And maybe GLN numbers also in the master data for the customers. And also, don't forget the rainy day scenarios. What is the process when you're receiving an invoice that is from a supplier that is not yet in your system? That is a very good example. Maybe you had a PDF invoice before, then it was no problem because then you can just put it aside and sort of register the company in the system. But now this is moving to something much more automatic. Yeah, if you are using a service provider like Commerce or Pagero or someone, they will have very busy times from September. So if you're engaging with them, make sure that you have the right SLA for that. Also, testing and piloting can be something you need to look into. How can you test this? Maybe you should try to find friendly suppliers and customers that you can align with in the test environment. Yeah, and make sure that you have a good plan for cutover and how to support this part go live. And finally, make sure that you have a good project team helping you with this. So, how can we help you? Yeah, we would like to look at ourselves as as your e-invoicing Sherpas. We can guide you through this process. We are not sort of supplying any software, so we are purely project management. We get it done. We look at your processes, what needs to happen. If you would like to find a service provider, we'll help you with that. We manage your deployment activities, project managing, and we help you with support if that is needed. So that was it for me. If you're very welcome to contact me. This is the LinkedIn QR code if you want to. Thank you.
Jonas, thank you very much for the presentation. It seems very difficult for the first slide when you look at it, but I can assure you it is much less complicated now. I mean, the accounting system in Poland is much less complicated than it used to be. So I encourage you to use because you have to. XEF is a must coming up 2026, and it is important to follow that. There is no investment without real estate, without plots of lands or offices and so on, and that is also vital for Poland. And for this, I would like to invite Adam Morawski, who is a managing partner at MORAWSKI Partners, and he's specializing in cross-border real estate counsel. And he will tell you more about how to secure proper real estate when you invest in Poland. Adam?
Hello everyone. Thank you for lending a curious ear to Polish real estate, particularly before the break. And I am feeling really honored to be speaking in front of you about Polish real estate in Stockholm, the city with such great heritage. Let me tell you a few things about Polish real estate by taking you on a brief journey. This is Warsaw 1944. For me, a very personal story. You see, my grandfather fought in the Warsaw Uprising, and unfortunately, after the defeat of the uprising, this is what was left with my hometown. But from the point of view of Polish real estate, there are three takeaways that you can get from here. First, you can see that we started from a very low level. So think about opportunities that are left. Second, look at how much space was left to build, to develop. And third, the historical buildings that have remained are so scarce. And scarcity, you know what it tells you in terms of value. If you move on to the communist times, the reality that I grew up in, that Jerry probably still remembers and holds in his vivid memory. Again, look at the open space left in between the buildings, because the communists, they knew nothing about the economics of real estate. That's how they planned the cities this way. Again, think of the opportunities. And then look at this. This is what happened. Starting from 1991, what Fredrik, of course, referred to. I took my chart from 1991, and you're talking about the growth that took Poland 13 times richer and stronger, starting from 1991, and joining today the so-called $1 trillion economy club. This year, Poland, thanks partly to the depreciation of the dollar, is becoming the 20th economy worldwide. And this is my city today. And don't look just at the skyscrapers. Look at these trees below. Today, what connects Warsaw and Stockholm and Poland and Sweden in general is the thinking about ESG, is the care for the environment. This is the other bank of the Vista River, which has been left intact. There's no concrete, there's just trees, there's birds nesting, and this is part of the thinking about real estate these days. You have plenty of green roofs on the top of these skyscrapers. And Warsaw today is a so-called alpha city. It is a ranking created by this London think tank that categorizes cities in terms of connection to the global economy. And Stockholm is alpha minus. To put things into perspective, it tells you about the integration of Warsaw and Poland in general to the world economy today. And speaking in terms of real estate, let me bring a real case scenario. In September 2022, an Australian client of ours bought a property, an apartment in this building. And he paid about 5,000 euro per square meter. In March 24, a French client of ours bought an apartment in exactly the same building, and that's why we have a precise comparison of the price. He paid nearly 6,000 euro per square meter. So this tells you about the opportunities, not only in terms of yields, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, but also in terms of return on equity. Because the prices of property, which, I'll say it again, value is scarce. And when there is scarce value, you know what it means. The price keeps going up. This is so-called Warsaw Place, the tallest building in the European Union. And it tells you one interesting thing about real estate in Poland. The market is so open that it could take a Slovakian developer to develop the tallest building in the European Union. It tells you to what extent the market is mature, it is open, it is transparent, and any investor from any part of the world is welcome, and they will find no obstacles as long as they work with the right people. So let me tell you a little bit about what we do. We are not just lawyers, and by we, I mean my team and my wife who is present today. Bożena, say hello to everyone. Bożena is one of the country's top real estate lawyers. And she's much more than that. She is a real estate broker. And that's how, when we founded our firm 19 years ago, we also founded another entity, and that is a real estate agency that we've been running together with Bożena. And that's how we add value in two possible ways. We can be your lawyers. And when you come to work to Poland, every move you make with us, with our assistance, think of it as completely safe. But if you have your own legal team and you're still on the lookout for real estate opportunities, think of us as your brokers. We can find you an interesting property. We can help you connect with the right seller or with the right company seeking an investor, and in this way we can help your business. This is one of the projects that we've got on our table right now. Bożena is now currently taking care of the legal and tax and technical due diligence. This is a tenement house in the center of Warsaw. The price is 20 million euro. It is fully rented out. And this is where Bożena is working as a broker, not as a lawyer, because our client has a legal team. So that's why we're helping in another capacity. This is a new project that's come to our portfolio as we speak. Those of you who've been to Warsaw must know this building. This is one of the most iconic buildings. You can see the Rolex logo on top. It's been there for years, and just opposite from the street there is a Bulgari store. So this is really a very prestigious piece of property, and it comes at 24 million euros. And finally, there is opportunities in terms of logistics. Now, who of you are interested in logistics and warehouses? Anyone? I was prepared for this. That's why those of you who are interested, please listen to me. Those of you who aren't, I've got a film for you. So let me explain the business model behind this. This is a project that is proposed by our partner company, that is an asset management firm. And the project, the model is this: with 10 million euro in cash, you get 15 million euro in debt from a bank, and you end up in an SPV. You buy a piece of land, you develop this warehouse through due diligence process, then take financing from a bank. You find a general contractor, and finally, in 20 months, you take care of the development and of the commercialization of the project. Now, this asset management team has a track record of over 30 such projects, and the end result is a yield of 8.5% in rents if you stay in, or a return on equity of 46% in 20 months. This is an asset management deal rather than a direct investment in real estate, which you would need to manage. So we have clients coming from all kinds of industries investing in these kinds of projects because they are left in safe hands of the professionals who have done their financials and that have made a track record to handling these kind of projects. And to top off my presentation with something nice and exciting, I've got to tell you about hotels. We also have a few hotels in our portfolio. And let me again ask you a question. Is there anyone interested in hotels for investment? And again, of course, it's not a majority. So I've got, again, a film for you to enjoy. And those interested, listen to these very basic funds. This is a very unique proposal that we've got on in our portfolio because it combines complete isolation with luxury. And you don't have many hotels like this worldwide. Well, you have a few here in Sweden, so you would appreciate the quality of this. But south of Scandinavia, practically such things are not even possible. And why is that? And why do you have such a pearl in Poland? It is again thanks to communists who not only knew nothing about real estate economics, they also have had no respect for the rule of law. So today it would be impossible to develop with all the European legislation a pearl like this in the middle of a natural reserve built on 240 hectares of land, completely empty. This kind of opportunity is not going to be repeated, and yet it is available for sale. I invite you to contact me and to write me an email now, or at least scan the QR code, check our website, and talk to us, to me and to Bożena, whether you want to buy a building, an apartment, invest in office, retail, warehouse, hotels. We are here to help you. Thank you.
Adam, thank you very much for the presentation, showcasing the change that has happened in Poland in the real estate over the last 30 years. It's really impressive when you look at Warsaw. You had some slides with the photos of both modern and old buildings that were renovated. And Warsaw is beautiful these days. And also showcasing us this more of a business-oriented real estate investments. And Panattoni has been developing many warehouses all over Poland. You can actually see them everywhere, basically, where you travel through different transportation or logistics hubs in Poland. There is no proper investments without proper information, and you need to stay informed about Poland if you want to invest with a success. And for that, you need specialists who are knowledgeable about how to provide good information about Poland. And for this last presentation, before we have a break, I would like to invite Sean Williams, who is Commercial Director of the Mundus International. Many of us know Mundus International from our daily work, right? This is a go-to portal for those who don't speak English or would like to inform themselves about what's going on in Swedish business in English. And Sean will talk about how to keep up with what's going on in Poland. Welcome.
So thank you for the introduction. I'm here to talk to you about what Fredrik mentioned, his second bullet point about doing business in Poland, which was actually understanding what was going on the ground. Now, I'm surprised we have got through after at least an hour of doing business in Poland presentation, and no one's mentioned that there was an election yesterday with somewhat, uncertain results, or at least the result is clear. It wasn't clear last night, but was clear by this morning. And but what I think is not clear today is what that actually means for those who are looking to do business in Poland. So not that I proclaim any great insight into that today, but if you listen to me and to what we produce at Mundus, then you will be rapidly informed about how to do that and how to adapt your strategy. Now, looking around the room, I'm going to say a couple of things before I get into the presentation per se. One is I can see there's lots of Poles in the audience, and so I'm going to apologize up front about my Polish pronunciation. Secondly, for the Poles here who understand yourselves possibly more than me about doing business in Poland, you could flip this presentation, or at least much of it, and say if you wanted to know about doing business in Sweden, then we have an equivalent product for Sweden. So Mundus was founded in 2012. You can see the founder there, Jessica on the left, with a somewhat well-known politician of the time when she was working as an advisor to the American Embassy in Stockholm. She subsequently worked for another embassy and a sort of a consultancy business, and decided on leaving the second embassy that what she wanted to do was to found a company with truly world-class analysis that was independent, and it was quite focused at the beginning around embassies, but it was going to have a subscription model. It was going to be clearly independent of advertising, so no ads, no sponsored content, and then we also wanted to have a high client engagement model. So if you roll forward to where we are today, and there's a map here on the far left, which shows that we're operating as of about 8 o'clock this morning in Denmark, as well as Finland, Sweden, and Poland. And those are the areas in dark blue. The areas in light blue are the Baltics, Nordic, Norway, and Iceland, which are sort of on our radar as well in the months ahead. We're focused now on embassies, corporates, NGOs, and institutions. And the model has broadened out, so rather than just being a model around analysis, we provide news and advice, pulling the whole picture together for our clients. In addition to providing standard products, we do tailored, bespoke media monitoring and intelligence. Now, along the way, because you could think of Mundus in some ways as just being a translation of the news service, but we're far more, and we see ourselves as being far more than that. Because although we're operating in a void, or the void created by there being no high-quality English language newspapers, our customers are actually looking to us for something far different than that. And the conversations when we get out, and I mentioned our sort of high-touch model, is about trust, that we are trusted by 80% of the embassies in Stockholm and then a large number in other countries, because they trust us to choose the news that's relevant for them as professionals who really need to know what's going on, to understand what's happening in business, what's happening in politics. We still have a strong foothold within embassy and government, but a growing business clientele. All of this is pulled together by the awesome foursome, the core team in the head office, so myself, Jessica, founder CEO, Charlotte, our head of operations, and Jonathan, who's our policy solutions analyst. In addition, we have around 20 freelancers and consultants, including a former Swedish ambassador who provides advice on geopolitics. All of our freelancers are degree qualified specialists in their area, and we have 2 based down in Warsaw. So, navigating Poland. If at least we got from the front page of the BBC today that there was an election in Poland, but we need to know more to be effective on the ground. So that's important to understand the business culture, the political developments. We need reliable, unbiased sources to make informed decisions. But as our sort of brief snapshot of Polish magazines and journals over on the left says, that the media landscape in Poland is prolific. So great news that to have so many journals and papers representing very different political points of view, representing different interests. But if you're an international trying to make something out of this, which journals do you need to go to? And indeed, how do you manage to maintain and cross the language barriers and get good translations? So, enter Mundus News Poland, your essential morning reading. Coming out at 8 a.m. every morning during weekdays, it provides curated and concise summaries of Polish online news. So this is relevant for business international audience. The key features and key sections, and I'm going to show you in a minute what it actually looks like. So we have political news, business news, economic news, societal news. This is selected and summarized from a wide range of Polish different sources, including, and here's where my Polish really is going to be laid out. So Polskie Biznesu, a wonderful Bonnier publication, Rzeczpospolita, and Polish News Agency, to name but a few. As I mentioned, we do around 20 different sources. So we place emphasis on factual, impartial reporting and providing clear, concise English summaries. And this is obviously not all of it, but just a quick sort of snap as to what it looks like. So you here have start off with the headlines for a quick scan of the news, what's really important on the day. We have an international affairs section, which is looking at geopolitical impacts. And I think the story here is around the US Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, who last week decided to wade into the Polish election and gave fairly strong views around the candidate there ended up being unsuccessful last night. But just highlighting just how important Poland is that it's featuring in the political discourse of the US. We have a large section on domestic politics, and then on a given day we typically have around 10 to 15 different business stories. So why do this? Why invest in Mundus News? And I think let's break that down into why invest in any news, because here we are today sitting in the heart of one of Sweden's top news organisations. And I think that the reasons for investing time and a little bit of money in understanding news are pretty obvious. In a dynamic world, you need facts. You need to know what's going on the ground. You need to, so today one should be thinking about what's the tensions that's going to be set up between the incoming president of Poland and the existing government, and how that's going to play out in terms of a political agenda and a business and economic agenda. In addition, by taking to having the right facts, so they're going to help you in developing your strategy. By understanding the facts, you've taken the first step in developing empathy and understanding for your Polish business counterparts. And that's going to be effective for you in developing Polish business relationships, because good relationships are a foundation for doing business in any international environment. Putting that together, that's going to help you mitigate the risks. And then in terms of why Mundus News in particular, for a start, you're going to get in a few pages, rather than having to wade through 10, 15 different websites, you're going to get your news condensed into one effective, well summarized publication, which is of course going to be in English. The quality of the language is fact checked, so no worries about whether Google Translate worked or it didn't work. And then this is going to reduce information overload, so you're going to be able to deal and understand what's going on by just focusing on the main points. And pulling all of that together, that's going to lead to competitive advantage for your business. Now, I hear you saying, well, that's fine, that's good general news, but actually, I need to know more about the real estate sector, or I need to know more about defense industries. Well, while we don't produce a curated version of that, what we do have, and what I'm extremely excited to be talking about today, because it's literally just coming off the production line now, is our AI. So this is something that we've spent 6 months building, and another background conversation that you possibly have is, but AI. I mean, we've all by now learned that AI can't be trusted, or can it? And we think that that if you handle the AI in the right way, that you have an amazing resource that's going to be both trustworthy, very largely, and is going to make you be far more time efficient in pulling together very concise industrial focus. So a couple of tips. One is that there's a parameter within all AI systems. Now, ChatGPT is not going to tell you about it unless you ask for it, but it's called the temperature. If you go to the end of 1, then the model's going to be at its most creative, it's going to be wonderful, it's going to hallucinate, but be very interesting to read. If you dial it down to the other end, it'll be very boring and probably a little bit too terse for you to understand. But if you get the temperature right, and we have a temperature setting for what it's worth of about 0.2, that means you're going to get, the porridge is going to be just at the right temperature, and you're going to get insightful, good analysis. Now, another myth about AI is that AI is really good at pulling together the big picture from all of the universe of facts out there. Not so. Actually, it's much better if you bound it and you break the what you feed it into bite-sized chunks. So that's what we do. And thirdly, as I said, when we're producing our news each day, we still have writers and editors in charge of that process. And even though the AI is very good, we do think that there's added value from having humans in the loop. But by even in doing that, by breaking the news up in the right way, by categorizing it, by indexing it, you make it far easier to look at. Now, I'm about to show you a short video, not as perhaps as exciting as flying through a warehouse, but exciting for me in a different way, because it's going to highlight to you in a couple of minutes how the AI technology works. So I just wanted to, before you get into that, I want you to look out for 3 things. First of all, as it begins, look at the large number of sources that are being pulled together, categorized and indexed. Secondly, about halfway through, it's going to show you an example of how you, within a few seconds, can actually summarize an article and get a really high quality English language summary out. And third, at the end, for those of you who are thinking about your industry sectors, we're going to run an example on defense industry in Poland. And again, it's going to show you how within a few seconds, you can actually create a report for everything that was happening in the reporting period for that industry.
News that matters to you. Search hundreds of articles of the most relevant and trusted publishers the second they're published. The live feed empowers you to find all the most relevant news to you. Slice the feed by source, topic, date, or the countries that matter to you. Need context fast? Hover and click to preview any headline. One click and our AI distills the story into a clear and concise summary, with source attribution included, of course. Prefer the source? Jump straight to the full article. Curating a brief? Select all the stories you want and get a comprehensive view of the full narrative. Looking for a long-form report on the news most important to you? Let Mundus package them into a polished, publication-ready digest in seconds. Live monitoring and on-demand intelligence side by side. This has been the Mundus editor, from breaking to briefing in seconds.
So there you go, John and Tom. Everything that you wanted to know about Polish defence industries, but were too afraid to ask. So thank you very much for your time. Contact details here. And if you're interested in trying out Mundus News Poland, scan the QR code. You just need to enter your email address, no cost, no obligation, and find out more about us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John, for this, I would say, breakthrough for this information gap in Poland, because for many years I've been following, of course, the Polish market, and this has been very difficult to find proper English sources for Poland and the news. And my experience with Mundus International in Sweden was great, so I'm hoping that this will continue in Poland. So congratulations on that, and I think this is very relevant for all those interested in doing business in Poland. You actually filled those two prerequisites from Mogadat, leading thinker about the AI, who says that there are 3 skills that you have to have in the new future. So AI tools, you need to master them. Then you have to know the truth, being critical thinking, and proper information is the key for that. And the third is the human connection. Human connection is something that we do together today, and that is something that we continue to do despite the AI revolution. So these were all presentations from our member companies. I would like to say that the Chamber has already 285 member companies, or maybe even more, because each day you have more and more coming up. So this is a very strong organization, and it's growing ever since 2022, after the COVID pandemic. We will go for a short break, stretch your legs, have a coffee, and come back in 5 minutes, please. Thank you. Great. So welcome to the second part of our seminar today. Welcome to our patient audience online. Thank you for being with us, staying with us for this second part. For this part, we have decided to actually have not one, but 2 panel discussions, each with a different number of participants. The first with 4 people and the second with 3 people. We hope that this will be more interesting and more thought-provoking for you. So with the first panel, we will discuss more of a strategic perspective and priorities in Poland for the doing business and investments. We'll talk about market entry support, cross-cultural insights, and first steps for success in Poland. And I will have great honor to invite 4 panelists to this discussion. We'll start with Wojciech Tyborowski, who is the Director of Invest in Pomerania. He has attracted over 140 companies and created 16,000 jobs in the Gdańsk region, Pomorskie. Welcome, Wojciech. I am myself from Pomorskie also, so yeah. The second one, Agnieszka Zagrobak-Chlifi, pro-relocation. She's a partner of Prelocation, 15 years guiding companies and expats through Poland's relocation and immigration maze. Welcome. And the third panelist is Jarek Rumiński, who is a business analyst and author of Northern Connections, a go-to guide on Polish-Swedish business culture, an expert in the field. A book is always good to read, right? And finally, we have Paula Tęcza from Pomorskie Special Economic Zone, and she's a project manager at the Pomeranian Special Economic Zone, securing tax breaks and fast-track permits for international investors. And for those who know Polish, Tęcza means rainbow in English, so that's a very great surname. So we will start with some icebreakers that I have prepared for you. And your task will be to name the single most underestimated advantage Sweden-based companies can gain by entering the Poland right now. So we'll start with Paula.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for having me. So first I'd like to mention the talent pool that we have in Poland, but as I'm from Pomerania region, I will focus more on the Pomerania region to maybe attract some investment there. So we have the University of Technology, which has a great pool of engineers that can be acquired by the Swedish companies, because lately I heard that in Sweden there's a problem with the shortage of the engineers. So I think that would be something that can attract companies from here to Poland. And I think I won't take much time,
that was great.
Because we
One
we
insight
are quite
only,
short on time. So
we have to be tight on schedule. Jarek, please, your insight.
Hello. Yes, it works great.
It does. Yes.
I am not from a Pomeranian region. I am from Poznań region, and Poznań is very much known when it comes to automotive industry. So there is a lot of Volkswagen because it's very close to Germany. So we have this Volkswagen plants. But now, actually, there is a lot of ongoing investment when it comes to artificial intelligence. And one of the Kulczyk's sons, he's building it up. So I would say AI, keep your eyes opened in Poznań on AI. That's my hints.
Okay. That's the second time AI has been mentioned in this seminar, which is, I think, great. Now Agnieszka, please.
Well, I'm a little bit relieved that you didn't go on with the talent, because that's actually something I wanted to mention.
Sure.
And I would definitely say that access to highly skilled, motivated, and also increasingly international talent, especially in the IT, engineering, and also customer services. That would be my take.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Wojtek, please.
I was also going to say talent, but as it was taken, probably I would go for the offshore, because, for example, we don't think about the Baltic Sea potential. And this is, we usually focus on Polish offshore, we focus on, German offshore potential, yada, yada, but we talk about the whole market of the Baltic Sea. And I think this is underestimated right now. So it's talent and offshore.
Great,
potential.
Thanks. We'll stay with you for the second part. So we have talent, AI, and we have offshore, which is a huge investment in the northern part of Poland. So we stay with Wojciech, and the question to you as a director of a leading investment support agencies of the Pomorskie region, that's a regional government organization to help investors come to Pomorskie region. Which three factors most often convince Nordic investors in your region to choose Pomerania, and which is the hardest to communicate upfront?
As I mentioned, I was going to start with talent, because this is something, actually, Martin, when Martin was talking about this 120 years story of Ericsson, I think this is a good example of what's still underestimated here in Poland, because you don't grow like 13 times of economy over the 30 years without some skills. And I think this is something that we also do not communicate enough. I'm talking about the Polish side. I'm also looking at Paula, because this is our job, right? We travel the world. We talk about the Polish economy, Polish potential. Sebastian's also, sorry, I excluded him from the club. Sorry. Also Sebastian's job, right? To talk about the potential of Polish people. And in today's world, also when AI means that this great reset, meaning that lots of business models are going to be, well, we'll have to live them in the past, and we'll have to build the new business models for that. And this is Mundus International is a fantastic example of how you can incorporate AI into your operations, and how can you build new products and reach out to the new customers. And in this time, when you have this great reset, so you have to forget what you already know. You have to learn new things. If you go to a market when you have a large, I'm still going to call it supply. I don't think it's a perfect word for when we talk about people. Let's call supply of a high quality talent. That's one of the things that actually attracts Scandinavian investors, and which one of the things that we have to also learn how to communicate better, because what we don't appreciate, I think, is a learning curve. I started attracting foreign direct investment 15 years ago, and when I started doing it, we talked about the 3 reasons why any investor, not only Scandinavian, but any investor was supposed to come to Poland. That was like 10% of students in the EU was Polish. Actually, we had more than 2 million students at that time. That we are a green island in Europe. That was a 2009 story when all of the European countries were in recession. Poland was the only one that had this still very moderate, but still has the economic growth. And the third one was that we are very stable in terms of political stability. I think it's safe to say, one day after elections, all of those 3 reasons are already in the past. We moved forward. But what we don't talk about is how much Polish people has learned about over those last 15 years. We started talking about that we have a lot of people who can do the job, just give it to us and we'll deliver. But right now we're talking about the much, much more sophisticated skills and competencies that can deliver actually very complex solutions. And the story, Ericsson, I'm really glad that this presentation was here today, because it actually highlights that notion. So that would be my first
Thank you. Wow, that's really insightful. Thank you so much. We'll go to Agnieszka. We'll stay with talents, and many companies are attracting talents to Poland, actually, bringing them there and then relocating them, migrating them, you name it. But it's not easy, right? Sometimes people make mistakes. Execs they fail at doing it properly. So, what would you be advising those to actually do so they can avoid those problems?
I would advise them not to underestimate the let's say convenience of relocation services as part of relocation. So. Definitely what we see is, especially for EU nationals, starting with immigration. It's often overlooked. We're all one happy family here, and often those small immigration issues go somewhere further. We're focusing on setting up the business, doing it properly, tax, of course, and all the legal aspects. But then that person that's relocating, maybe setting up the business, they kind of get left behind. And all of a sudden, ordinary life creeps in, and they don't have a PESEL number, which is necessary for many things later on.
It's like personnummer in Sweden.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a registration number, which is a very easy thing to set up. And then also, maybe schooling for children, then home search, deciding on what is the best model, whether going temporary or going full rental, depending on the setup of the people. So definitely, having the full package. So not only thinking about the big business picture, but also ordinary life and making it easier, and thus the whole process more successful.
So it's not that different from Sweden, you would say?
Yeah.
No.
I think it's universal. To be honest, it's just happy people make good business. I think as well.
But you need to actually remind sometimes people. I mean, when we work with the Swedish business, sometimes we need to actually update them on what's happened in Poland and how you do the business properly and how you attract talents. And Poland is the talent pool is not unlimited. The limits for the talent being created, even as Wojciech said, there are 2 million students, but still it's not enough for the pace of the development. So sometimes you need migrants, expats in Poland.
Absolutely.
A lot of them actually, and there are more and more coming each year. So.
And when you get the non-EU nationals as well,
Yeah,
that's
that
where the
is-
tricky
that
parts
is a more
begin sometimes
challenging,
with, especially with the immigration, but also the culture and you know that settling in aspect. Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you so much. And we'll stick to cultural differences. I have a question for Jarek, and he's an expert on that. And of course, the people learn about the culture when they go to Poland, but there are still problems, right? They are not fully knowledgeable. But the question for you is what the blind spots are for those who are trying to enter the market, and how would you recommend them to fix those problems?
Yes, well, I think that things are changing very quickly in Poland, and as it has been mentioned, since 2004, it's totally different country. So for me, coming back like each and every year, well, no, I'm not coming back every year, but from time to time, and I see that, well, I cannot really recognize it, the highways and the level of infrastructure and this and that. So it's getting more and more middle EU standards, but still from cultural point of view, I experience differences in the regions in Poland. I experience also differences between Scandinavia and Poland when it comes to working, like work balance, like hierarchy. It's a little bit more in Poland, and also like decision-making process. I find like in Scandinavian countries we have much more consensus and to discuss on all possible levels, and at the same time we have in Poland like more clear leadership, who decides, and it tends a little bit for me like German Austrian way of making decisions.
I would have a follow-up question, because you mentioned the differences and the historical background of Poland, and there were three partitions. You may not know that, but 120 years, 123 years, we were not independent, and we were divided between different empires, and that has influenced the culture, I think, in Poland. And would you agree that there are certain differences between regions like Wielkopolska or Pomorskie and, for example, Lubelskie or Podkarpackie in the east and southeast of Poland, and that has an impact on business?
Yes, that's where I am on the way.
Okay.
And yes, well, everything actually we are talking about now, and these cultural things, is actually included in this book that is written here about. I also would like to mention something, that we are building up a platform, and this is gonna be, sort of speaking, business platform. So we will have Nordic countries and Poland as well, and cultural differences for each and every place. So for not only Sweden, but even Norway, Finland, Denmark, and of course Poland included. Okay. So so that's what we are working on, and I have 3 persons here in the room who actually were involved in it. A company called Sprinto, great people, and please stand up. So I think the rest of the room can see them.
A strong team, yes.
Yeah, a very strong team. I am not alone. I would be not able to speak so without them.
That's good for networking after.
Absolutely. So it's a very good thing.
You're on your way of being Mundus International business culture differences.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We'll go to Paula. You work with a similar institution like Wojciech in the same region. There are differences, especially economic zone. It's a tool developed by the government to actually help investors come in. And I would like to ask you, which tool do you think are the best and the fastest way to have the return on investment for SMEs from Sweden to and how to pass the hurdles, the eligibility, because there's funding involved. So if you could briefly tell that, because that is different from Sweden, where there are basically no incentives, financial especially incentives to invest in Sweden, while in Poland there is, and your organization is a specialized tool for that.
Yes, so actually for the context, there are 14 special economic zones in Poland. Yeah. The second one is also here in the room with us. So we offer income tax exemption, which I think is a great tool for companies. And from my experience, I can say that what the SMEs mostly use it for the return on investment. And basically you can obtain tax income exception for 14 years or to the amount of money, to some amount of money. And I don't think there are any hurdles. So
okay,
yeah,
I guess the less and less of those.
So yeah, maybe a small obstacle would be that all the documentation is in Polish, which was mentioned earlier by Daria, I think, that Poland still likes to use its own language in the official documentation. But I can assure you that if a company wants to invest with us or with any other zone, we are here to help you and we can guide you through the entire process of setting up a new investment in Poland. And I think it's really worth it because, as Wojtek said, we are really close neighbors and we don't use the potential of the Baltic Sea region. Yeah. And what I can say more is that we, as a zone, we also help companies to cooperate with the vocational schools or schools to universities in general. So you can actually, as a company, have a tailor-made employees for your company. So I think it's a great asset when it comes to the shortage of the talent pool in Sweden. So maybe that's something worth thinking about if you want to actually expand your business in Poland.
Yeah, exactly. So financial incentives, talents again, but also I would say synergies between different organizations, like you are working together with Wojciech because you are regional actors supporting the same kind of clients. And there are governmental institutions like Polish Investment Trade Agency, which are also helping this governmental level to support, especially those large investments.
Okay. So I can actually say that I see Wojtek or Invest in Pomerania more than I see my own family. So we cooperate really closely.
That is a new thing in Poland. Synergies among organizations working together.
Exactly.
It used to be a different story, but now it's changed a lot. So it's more like a Swedish example now.
Yeah,
okay.
It's kind of symbiosis.
Thank you. Now it's an open question to all of you who would like to answer. Looking across your domains, what collaboration could you make a newcomer's first 6 months seamless in Poland? Who would like to start? Wojtek? Please, yes.
Very good question, Sebastian. Because actually, guys, how many of you know the term IPA? Oh yeah, perfect. Or investment promotion agency. This is something that I noticed, over those 15 years. The companies usually do not recognize investment promotion agencies. Actually, PAI is a national IPA. Pomerania Special Economic Zone, to some extent, can be called a regional IPA. We are a regional investment promotion agency. Our job is to actually support foreign companies coming to our region and making the process easier for you guys. Paula, our actually Special Economic Zone, PAI, all of those institutions are dedicated to actually supporting investors. So I would say this is the first step.
The organizational framework, you would say.
We talk about those. Yes, you need to do your homework. You need to collect information. All these changes regarding, for them, e-invoicing. Yes, if you are coming to Poland right now, it's going to be your part of your reality over the next couple of years. But actually, the first thing you can do, and actually I think that was Fredrik in your presentation, visit the country. So actually, we can help you set up this visit. We can hook you up with the meetings with some of your peers that already are in Poland and are present in the area, and we do it for free because it's a public service. So I would say no.
The organizational framework and contacts.
Exactly. Contact the regional IPA that you are interested, or PAI as a national IPA. They will coordinate the whole thing on the level of country. So
Thank you. Thank you for that, Agnieszka.
Well, actually, I was thinking about this panel and the next one as part of that collaboration because, as mentioned before, you need all aspects, yes? So you need some assistance with maybe the taxes, maybe law issues, maybe, then the relocation aspect and some cross-cultural as well. So it's like a full package. And I think that that's what the value also of being involved within different organizations and bringing them together as part of this type of event has that value, and that collaboration can be then
so it's
forged.
a holistic approach. It's not only organizations but culture, contacts,
and just sometimes even
culture.
Exactly. And I think it's this platform also shows how important that is, how many aspects there are to consider, especially for new investors that sometimes might not be aware of how many aspects there are to entering a new market.
Great, thanks a lot. Jarek, from your perspective, is it easy to work with Poles?
Absolutely, they are the best. As much as Swedes. Well, I think that our platform will be a good tool, and we wouldn't like to promise too much, but I think before Christmas we will be ready with that. And it was also very interesting for me to see some members of this chamber who actually have some origin in Norway. So I think that here we go. We have an opening because we are open up for all Nordic countries. And it is about the integration not only between Sweden and Poland. I mean, by no means Sweden is exceptional. We have also, and also between the Nordic countries, I can see myself, it is not like when I have arrived in Sweden in the end of 80s and in the beginning of 90s, I have evolved with my view on Scandinavia. I think that still there is pretty much to do between Scandinavian countries, and getting there. Poland as such is an interesting input, big market with its potential, and also like manufacturing. It was also mentioned during one of the presentations. I think that we have an extraordinary combination, and we can complete each other in a very, very good way.
Yeah, so hands-on approach.
Absolutely.
Dousing the fires and so on. Exactly. Poles are very good at it, yeah, of course. Paula, the question to you about the seamless examples.
So as I observe, I think all of us, Sebastian and Natalia included, we can all make your process of investing in Poland seamless. And what I'd like to add is that today I was informed that our company that is in Czech, which is the Flex, cooperates with a Swedish company. So we can hook you up with the investors who are within our zone, which is almost 400 companies. And also Włocławek was mentioned. We also are present in the Włocławek, and we cooperate with the firms that are located there. So as a zone, we have this broad networking capacity, I think, to meet, to like connect you with our investors, and I think that would be very easy for you then to invest in Poland, because you can then know what's happening in Poland, and they can also guide you with us and with Wojtek and with all the people, I think, that are present here and wants the business to happen in Poland, and Polish companies to maybe think about establish a business here.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We are a bit running out of time because the discussion is so interesting that I have actually exceeded the timing, but no matter. The last thing I would like to ask you, it's a very brief speed kind of question. One must-have resource that you would like to offer to a potential investor interested in Poland that is so interested they would like to book a flight to Warsaw or Gdansk or Poznań tomorrow. What they should look into, website, contact, program to actually look into, to actually be studying the, be on speed when they come to Poland.
Yeah, I think they should subscribe to Mundus.
Well, yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, that's a reliable information source,
I think,
right?
No, I think the first step is to maybe visit the PI website, because they have all the information about the zones, not only Pomeranian, but also the 13 different zones. And I think if they want to come to Gdańsk, they should just book a flight, because we have a great flight connection. I myself flew here in 1 hour. So
sometimes
and
40 minutes when the wind is
exactly.
correct. Yes.
Yes.
So it's a taxi ride from the outskirts.
So even if you want to spend the weekend in Gdańsk, I think you will fall in love with the place, and maybe you'll see yourself doing business here. And we are very open, and we are really trying to attract more foreign investments to the Poland, because I think everyone saw the Economist page with just
the front page of
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think you should just think about going to Poland and contact with us.
By the way, PAI is Polish Investment Trade Agency. I prefer to call it Business Poland, but it's not my task to do it. But let's go to Jarek. And your take on that, briefly.
Very briefly. Well, my take on that would be follow the industrial news and ignore a little bit political news, all these things like, see what happens, like what to invest in, and simply follow industrial news. That's what I would strongly recommend.
Okay, thank you. Agnieszka?
So actually, thinking about this question, I was about to recommend Puls Biznesu and then using Google Translate, but now we know we have another tool.
I do it sometimes,
but then, of course, as well, if you want original English source, then also Notes from Poland.
Notes from Poland, yes.
Yeah.
Wojciech, your website, your newsletter.
Website, of course. But I would actually say, if you have like generally some specific interest in different Polish regions, contact the regional APAs. If you don't have, looking at the Poland as a whole, as a country, contact Business Poland. Or
Business Poland. I'll have trouble.
There are people who are gonna help you, and of course, like as Fredrik said, the first step would be a visit the country, visit the market, and I would say that would be a first good step into thinking about
connect with people. Exactly. Staying connected to human. Still, not the AI, although AI is important. Okay, a round of applause for our guests, panelists. Thank you so much. Very interesting insights. We are quickly going to move to another panel because we have exceeded the time a bit. The panel number 2 is about legal, financial, and structural success factors. And for that, we'll have 3 panelists. And we will start with Elżbieta Żuchaj, who is a lawyer, a Polish corporate lawyer in tax with over 25 years of experience. And she was credited for the first bank-driven bankruptcy and won a UniCredit's prize for standout MA. So she's a very, very experienced person in terms of MA, and she will be talking about, well, CIT, Estonian-wise, Estonian type of CITs and family foundations. Welcome. And then we have what Paula mentioned, another special economic zone from Katowice this time, from the south of Poland. We have Elżbieta Kubica-Korek, who is a strategic project manager at the Katowice Special Economic Zone. Welcome. And last but not least, we have Daniel Jastrun, who is a co-founder of Just Law, Tech and MA Council, bridging Nordic founders and Polish investors with a focus on IP-safe deal structures. Welcome. We'll start about, we talked about tax and law and regulations being difficult. Sometimes these are myths, right? And my first question as icebreakers would be, what the single most common legal or tax myth Swedish founders bring to Poland when they come in to you and ask you about things? What do they bring? The myth that is the most common. So we can start with Elżbieta. She's got the mic. So,
first of all, I think that the Polish market is very, very attractive when it comes from the perspective of tax reliefs. And Poland introduced a lot of tax incentives, and we just discussed about the economic zones. And during our presentations, we heard about other incentives relating to real estate, or I will present 2 magic tools, I would say, about the investment. And there are a lot of, so for Swedish investors, can be the impression that maybe we are not ready with all these incentives, but believe me, and we heard from Fredrik and other colleagues that there are a lot of investment, and it's thanks to the tax incentives and other tools that were introduced.
Thank you. Ella? Elżbieta.
Yes, hello. It's very nice to meet you. First of all, thank you for the invitation. Thank you to the chamber, the Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce, and the Polish Investment and Trade Agency that supports this event. So from our perspective as the Katowice Special Economic Zone operating in the south of Poland, so I will give you this perspective from the south of Poland in this panel discussion. I think that the myth that we are approaching very often is that the procedure of obtaining public aid in the form of tax exemption, just like Paula from the Pomeranian economic zone mentioned, is that this procedure takes a long time, it's complex, and it's difficult. And the reality is that it is not. It is not complex, it is not difficult, and it doesn't take a long time. So it only takes from 2 weeks to a month the most to actually get this decision on support under which this tax exemption is granted. We actually do it as the Katowice Special Economic Zone even faster. We do it in approximately 20 days.
Wow.
Yes. And what is more, we actually help to prepare the application form for this decision on support. We provide assistance, and the application form is really simple. It's only 3 pages long. It's in Polish, just like Paula said.
It used to be 30 pages, but it's 3. Right?
Yes, but it could be issued in an electronic version. So that's this, something kind of innovation that we have.
Thank you for unraveling this myth of bureaucracy in Poland. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Daniel, you're the expert in law, Polish law. The basic understanding is that it's complicated. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I would say that the law is quite similar, meaning that nowadays both Polish and Swedish law is EU harmonized. So what you can expect is very, very similar to what is in Sweden, but still there are differences. So it's important to mind the differences. And what was already mentioned a little bit here before is that generally you can expect that it's a little bit higher level of formalism in Poland. I would say that generally Sweden is very relaxed when it relates to the form, and so maybe it's not only that the Poland is that much formalistic, but also what you are used to in Sweden is also a little bit unique. So yeah, but main takeaway would be like to be well prepared and don't be afraid, because it is. Doing business it's European Union, so it's really similar, but mind the differences.
Okay, thank you. We'll stick with you. Question, because you're an expert on intellectual property law, working with both Swedish and Polish companies. And in your view, what is the most common IP risk that you find in legal due diligence when Swedish investors come to Poland and would like to invest in Polish companies?
So it's something I already mentioned, that the law and the rules are very similar, but there are differences, and it's most important to mind the differences. And IP law is a good example. Like Polish copyright law is more formalistic than Swedish. So in order to transfer IP right in Poland, you need to have a written agreement, and it needs to be written, meaning signed by wet signature or qualified electronic signature. If you don't have it, you will just get a license. While in Sweden, it's less formalistic. So again, rules are similar, but small differences which make you be at the risk. Another specific for Poland factor is that it's very popular. We are working a lot with IT sector, with the startups, IT vendors. So most of them are using B2B model, meaning the software developers in Poland are very often employed based on B2B. So they are not employment agreement, labor agreement, but B2B.
Single companies, like
it's different between Poland and Sweden. So again, don't be afraid of it, but it causes that if you have Polish startups or Polish IT companies and you want to invest in them, you need to make a due diligence to check whether the B2B agreements between the company and software developers, whether in this agreement there are proper clauses regarding transfer of IP. So it needs to be checked.
So you have to be very careful with the clauses in the contract.
This one, yes, because the main value nowadays is IP or data.
Yeah.
Everything is about IP and data in case of most of investments. So it's really important to check it. and yeah, maybe to take care that in SPA share purchase agreement you add proper representations and warranties, or maybe if you discover it during due diligence, so very often it's quite easy to cure by signing an additional remedy agreement, especially with people who develop it still working at the company.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that. Ella, your special economic zone offers corporate income tax relief up to 60%, which is huge, right? But in order to get it, you need to fulfill some criteria. And my question would be, what 3 criteria Scandinavian investors must meet easily, and which one most often blocks those granting of those reliefs?
Okay, thank you. Yes, well, just to give you the context, there are actually 13 quality criteria to choose from. So investors are welcome to actually choose 5 out of the 13 lists. So it's really very flexible. It's like, every investor chooses their own criteria, the ones that they would like to meet. So yes, so to answer your question, which 3 of the 13, I would say, are the ones that are, chosen, I would say, most often. The first one is cooperation with schools, with vocational, technical schools, or even higher education institution. Yes, there are a lot of them, especially in our region where we operate as the Katowice Special Economic Zone. We're like the 3rd biggest educational center in Poland, so there are a lot of cooperation opportunities in this field. So most of the investors that we actually cooperate with, that we attract to our zone, choose this criteria connected with the cooperation with the schools. The second criteria would be that I would focus on is, I would say that depending on the sector, because it's sector specific very often. So some sectors would have 1 criteria fulfilled straight away for the sector, and there's this whole list of sectors like aviation, aerospace, electrical, electronical equipment, also specialized services like IT, ICT. So it's very often not chosen. It's still just something that you get straight away. So investors also use that if they qualify for the sector. And concentrating on ESG, because this is something what I would focus on, given the fact that the Scandinavian companies, especially from Sweden, are very much focused on environmental friendly approaches and yes.
And this is important
solutions.
In Katowice, which is transferring from a heavy coal-based industry at the moment, right?
Exactly, and we're focusing on this transition a lot nowadays. We're changing our economy to be more high-tech and advanced manufacturing type of economy, also specialized services. This is also something that we actually focus on. Referring to this ESG practices, so installing, for instance, photovoltaic panels, so PVs, it's very often chosen because the companies would have it anyway because of the cost efficiency of the investment. So this is one of them. Plus the low negative impact on environment. It's also very often chosen, especially by companies from the Western European countries and the Scandinavian ones. We have like 4 companies from Sweden, and I know they all have this criteria on their list.
So they are good examples for other Swedish or Scandinavian companies to actually follow.
Exactly, yes. And the one that I would say it's like, a bit difficult, there is also a criteria connected with robotization and automation of processes. So if a company doesn't want to be that developed in this aspect, then they just don't use this criteria. They don't have to choose it. So this is the one that I would point out.
So it's quite flexible in a way, and
very flexible.
Still
very
20
easy.
days. Still 20 days.
Exactly. Plus, in our region, you only need to fulfill 5 criteria out of the list of 13.
Okay.
While in other regions, it's more so. It's good to locate in the south of Poland too. Yes. Thank you.
Katowice is, by the way, Upper Silesia region. So it's like you call it Katowice. It's a huge metropolis of many cities. I forgot how many, but 22 cities all together in one metropolis. We have 3 cities in the north, and we have 20 something in the south. So huge, nice region also. Ella, Zhuhai. A question to you regarding the Estonian CIT tax, because it's been very popular in Poland for some years. And the question is, when does it really work for companies, especially those who are investing in Poland?
Thank you for the question. For Swedish investors that are interested in expanding and restructuring their business, I would like to highlight the two tools. The first one is the Estonian corporate income tax, as Sebastian mentioned. And this is a very investor-friendly tax tool that lets companies reinvest their profits without paying corporate income tax until distribution. Especially for small and growing companies, this can make significant improvement of cash flow. And what's more, shareholders are entitled to use the tax mechanism. This is the tax credit that lowers their overall tax obligation. So just for comparison, we usually, instead of the usually 26 to 34% effective tax, we are talking about 20 to 25%. It's a significant advantage.
Yeah, sure. And then I guess that works for the Scandinavian companies, because I've read in a recent report about Swedish investments that around 93% of income of the Swedish companies investing are being reinvested in Poland. So they stay in Poland, those revenues, and they're being reinvested also thanks to this tax tool.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. You also mentioned the second one, which is the family foundation. Yes. That is something that also works in Sweden, right?
Yes.
But this is a new thing in Poland.
Yes. So the Polish Family Foundation introduced recently, and this mechanism allows entrepreneurs to protect their assets, manage their succession, and even invest from the foundation. So this is a unique solution in Central Europe. And especially for, and this is ideal solution for Swedish business owners thinking long term, especially those working in Poland with family and involvement.
Yeah.
So this is really good mechanism. And even better, I would say, we can combine these two tools, and we can combine the tools into one optional effect. So one company can grow under the Estonian corporate income tax, while another company can just distribute the profit to the foundation, creating a very safe and tax-efficient structure.
Okay, thank you so much. So I didn't know that you can combine the two and actually to be more effective in business development. So thank you for that insight. A question to you all. I know it's hard to predict future, and we talked about AI. It can disrupt everything in 2 years' time. But when you look ahead and when you look at the regulations, or you look on incentives and environment, EU funding and legal changes, what single move in 24 months will matter most for the Swedish investors that are willing to or thinking about investing in Poland? What will be the most important thing in that time frame for you? Ella, you can start. Yeah.
Okay, looking at the Polish investment zone, I would say that the fact that it will be possible finally to have this tax exemption provided for the defense sector, especially for the production of ammunition, weapons, and explosives.
Okay.
Because before it was excluded. Those types of productions were actually excluded from the Polish investment zone, so they couldn't be granted the tax exemption that we provide as an economic zone in Poland. And taking this, the whole story of this strategic cooperation agreement into consideration that was signed back in November last year, by our prime ministers, plus the statement that followed in February, I think, this year, by the ministers of the interior design of Sweden and our Polish Minister of Defense regarding the defense sector again. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for especially the Swedish companies, investors in operating within the defense sector to actually invest in Poland, to have this tax exemption granted, the public aid provided for the new investments within those operations in the defense sector. So for me, that's something new that it's coming. We're just waiting, this to be implemented in the rules, in the regulations connected with the Polish investment zone. But it's going to happen very soon, actually, this year, we hope.
Thank you so much. Daniel.
Yes, you mentioned 2 years from now, so my photos.
12 months maybe.
Parliamentary elections, and we had presidential yesterday. But yes, I think the pace is quicker and quicker, and I think AI again. I would mention it again because it changes everything and everywhere, but it also makes it probably easier to enter the markets. We talked a lot about language barriers, which nowadays are very much limited by AI, even the tools which are now such as ChatGPT or DeepL translation. Yes, I think it will change the market, Polish market, but Swedish market as well, but also may make it easier to do business through the borders.
Okay, thank you so much. Ella, go ahead.
Regarding tax incentives in Poland, and I would like to say that we know that our Minister of Finance is still now it started to work on new changes relating to the Estonian corporate income tax, also the family foundation, or, for example, IP box instrument. But I think that still our relief system deserves recognition, and it's very, very, very good and create a lot of incentives. So looking from the perspective of 2 years, my suggestion would be to start the action now. I mean, to create the Estonian corporate income tax, the family foundation, and apply other incentives, or wait and see what will happen after the election right now and after the changes, because the first project was introduced in September 2024, so 1 year ago, almost 1 year ago, and it looks fine, but so we can start or just wait a little.
Positive changes in the legal system and possibilities of investing in defense or dual use sectors. Thank you. I see that we are running out of time. I have to finish up. Sorry for that, but this has been a longer discussion than expected. So I would like to thank our panelists for the second panel, Daniel, Elżbieta, and Elżbieta. Thank you for your insights. And with that, I would like to thank you for allowing me to be the moderator for this seminar. And I would like to give the voice to Jacek, who will be closing the seminar. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a long 2.5 hours. I hope you learned a lot. I would like to wrap it up quickly and thank a couple of people that actually allow this event happen. So first of all, I would like to thank all the speakers and the panelists for the presentations full of information and interesting discussions. Thank you very much. Also, big thanks to Sebastian Mager for outstanding moderating. Of course, to Jurek, who always organizes such great events and makes it possible. There are a couple of people who help us a lot to organize those events. So Mats Vara, who's taking care of the technology, recording and streaming. Later you can watch all our seminars on YouTube, so it's also thanks to Mats. I would like to thank Dana Rogoza for preparing the legendary bakery products. You can all order those cakes for yourselves at himelska.se. Yeah. Okay, Jurek, you would like to say something about the organizational matters. This part ends for all who watch us online. Sorry for that. Thank you that you were with us. And now we will have a networking session here, but then there is another event that Jurek will talk about a little bit.
Thank you. So thanks again to everybody who's been watching online. This is it for the online viewers. For us who are here, the networking is an extremely important part of our event, so please do some business and please, we want some deals to present to coming members. Thank you very much.